Damn, this is neat. Video camera, still camera. Video camera, still camera. Oh, hi. Yeah, this is the new FUJIFILM X-T camera. This is sort of a schizophrenic camera, this X-T4. It has a little dial up here that says movie and still. And that's the only thing this dial says. If it is put on still, this is a still camera. All the menus will be for still shooting. You won't even notice that it's capable of doing video. That's really great if you want to concentrate on still photography. But if you want to use it as a video camera, you push this little button and set it to movie. And then it's a very focused video camera. It has nothing to do with stills. It's all about video. All your menus are only focused on video. So that makes this camera pretty unique because it is so focused and can do both at the same time, which is pretty cool. And in this video, I'll concentrate on the video department. In a coming video, I'll focus on the stills department. So for now, this little dial up here is set for movie. And what's new in this camera compared to the old X-T3? Well, quite a few things actually. First of all, there's been a high demand for a display that can do this. So you can do the vlog style selfie thing and still be able to see how you're framing. One thing you do have to notice when you do those things is that you don't look on the screen. You have to be focused on the lens, because if you don't, you look a bit distracted. Like if I'm looking up on this screen and was talking to that would seem pretty distracted. But you're actually right there. And you can also switch it this way around. And then you have no screen at all. And why would you want that? For protection maybe. You can also turn it around, so you actually can see the display. So you more or less have a lot of the good stuff. Probably there will be some people that won't like this, because you cannot tilt it upwards while it's in here. You have to tilt it out before you can tilt it upwards. So, you know, can't have it all. One of the biggest things, it has IBIS. And what is really important about sensor stabilization is you shouldn't confuse it with a gimbal. I've seen some people take this camera and say, oh, now we have stabilization, and just take a walk on the road and be walking. And that's not really what a sensor stabilizer is all about. It's not about dampening so large movements. It's about dampening the micro jitter, which means that you have a pulse, unless you're a robot, and you can't keep the camera steady for long, because your pulse will make it jerk a little bit. Your balance will move it a little bit forth and back, and your muscle twitching will move it in this direction and sideways and all that. And what this IBIS does is that it can take all that away. You can literally look like a human tripod. Not that kind of tripod, you know what I mean? You will literally look like a human tripod when using this, and you try to stand still. You can also move it about a little bit. That will also work, keeping it pretty steady, but you have to know how to work with the mechanism more than trying to just do what you want, and then might be disappointed because it's not really meant to do certain movements. But if you figure out how to move with this stabilizer, it will look like as if you're on a gimbal. And it's great for the small moves. You know, it will take all the jitter away, and that is super cool. So you can actually make really nice footage without any extras. What trouble or what problems could you possibly have if you just shoot movies like this? Well, first of all, your shutter speed have to go down. You have to go down to like 1/50th of a second to get natural motion blur, which is super important. So what you have to get as an extra is an ND filter. You don't have to use fixed ND filters. You can use the filters that you can adjust. Good thing is always to wear a t-shirt, because because you can do this and clean it up. I mean, if you have a good cotton t-shirt, you can always use it for cleaning up your stuff. It works pretty well. I've done it always. And then suddenly I have the possibility to use a very open aperture because I have an adjustable ND filter. So I can take the light down and make use of my 1/50th of a second shutter speed with an open aperture with an ND filter. If you want to be serious about video, get one of these. This one is a Heliopan. There's a bunch of others. I chose Heliopan because they look good. You can really take the light quite a bit down without, destroying the colors too much. You will affect the colors. It's like putting on sunglasses. So I choose the ND filters for how they look. That's also why I sometimes use it inside to get that nice ND filter sunglasses on look. But that was the ND filter. And of course, when you do video, you also need sound. Of course, you can go out and film and then you can get home and put on some music and just not have any natural sound. But it's actually pretty nice to have natural sound that you can blend in with the music. So if you have like birds singing, traffic sounds, you sort of feel that you're there. So you need a microphone. And of course you can put a microphone up in this little hot shoe. I will not recommend it because you put kind of a lot of stress on a hot shoe by putting all kinds of stuff in it. It's not too bad putting in a microphone. I've seen people put in a top handle in this and I would definitely not recommend it. It's really not built for it. So I would really suggest to get a cage when you start to do video and to be serious about it. Don't be afraid because you don't have to make a huge setup like I have. You can see a picture of it here. That's pretty ambitious. But with this X-T4 and its capability of making you look like a human tripod, you don't have to rig it up much. But I definitely recommend that you get a cage so you can put on a little stuff that makes it more easy to do great video. And here's the first thing I will recommend you put on it. This is a cage and you use it for one particular reason only, which is the ability to put stuff on it. So I will put this in. This is a small rig cage for the X-T4, obviously. And they have put in this little thingy, the one you always look for and ask everybody for coins. But now it's sitting there with a magnet. So you can just put it in there. And the great thing about this cage is it's not really huge and it has a bigger grip. So you actually get a bigger grip. And if you have large hands, you could easily use it for still photography as well. And just shoot if you have a combined job, like shooting models or a wedding and they want a little bit of video, you're set to go with this one. You don't need anything extra and you don't take up a lot of space. It's stabilized so you can really easily take some good shots. With the cage you're good to go, both with stills and also with video. We need to solve another little problem that I have. That is, if you have your hands super close like this, there's a tendency that you sort of bend the horizon a little bit. The small movements that you have here by swaying a bit, a stabilizer won't be able to take that. So you definitely need some way to alter the geometry of the way you hold it. And it doesn't really take much to not have this seasickness on a boat-like movement because we are all organic and we sort of move around. So what I would suggest is to get a little handle to put on here so you get the hands a little bit further apart. So here's a handle and it has a cold shoe on top of it and we will use that later. What I will recommend is that you put it on a table and set this so it doesn't go further down, so when you sit it on the table it actually sits pretty straight. I can adjust it here by looking. Yes, now we're here. So now I have a little bit of a further distance. It's much easier to keep it steady this way. Any stabilizer will respond to what you do and how you move, so you really have to work with it. It gives you a huge amount of advantages, but you really have to work with it to get the most of it. You can turn it off. I mean, the stabilizer in here is magnetic, so it doesn't sit in a spring casing. It's actually magnetic, which is really damn smart. But when you turn it on, work with it. That is super important. With the hands a little bit further apart, you can make super steady video. But now we need sound. You can use any mic you'd like. I really like ambient sounds to be in stereo. You can choose to put this microphone on in any way you'd like, but it just comes in handy that this handle has a cold shoe on top of it. Now you're almost good to go, I would say. You'll have to turn the mic on. This is a mic you have to turn on because it's powered. And then you go to the audio menu. You turn this one up as much as it goes. It's pretty easy, it's just one knob. And then you turn the level down as much as you can. The external mic level adjustment have to be as low as possible. Minus 12 dB is good to be in average. You don't want to overload your sound, but if you have sudden really loud sounds, you can't do much about it. But in this camera, in the audio section, you just set the mic limiter to on. It will compress really loud sounds, and then you're actually good to go, and it works pretty well. And now you have a really capable video setup in such a small package. I mean, this is small. It's really nice to be stealthy, especially today. So this is great. Of course, in the times that we have right now in the corona pandemic situation, we don't get out much. But it's a good opportunity to rehearse your movements. And if you go super close to an object and sort of try to make really smooth recordings, that's a great thing to do. Now I've showed how I would propose you to set up your camera for being able to really handle it well. And the points about working with the stabilizer is insanely important. Another thing that is super important is about panning. If you made video before, you've probably seen the problem where when you pan and you play it back on like a television or a computer, it has a tendency to stutter. It goes a bit and then it stutters, and it goes a bit again and it stutters. It actually doesn't have anything to do with your camera. It has everything to do with decoding. And when your television set tries to decode, it has to decode a luminance channel and RGB channel. And the math there isn't like, it's not one-to-one. So suddenly there's a green channel that it has to figure out what to do with. It doesn't add up. So then you get this stutter thing. But there's a way to get around it and sort of cheat your way into making nice pans. The best advice is not to pan at all. Just choose your frame and keep it there. And the other thing is, if you pan, instead of doing a turn or a sideways movement where you're moving a lot of pixels, then sort of move into the frame. So you sort of move it into the frame while moving it a bit sideways. That sort of makes part of the image be the same while you sort of move around it. And if you have a moving object in it, you can just focus on that object. And people honestly won't notice that some of the rest sort of stutters, but they will notice the thing in the middle. But we can still work around it. It's the same thing as work with your camera. Don't work against it. Then you will have much better results if you work with the technology and not against it. About this camera and its technical specs, you can go to FUJIFILM.com and you can read all about the particular specs. My experience with this has been fairly short, but I'm really pleasantly surprised about the capability of its IBIS. That makes a huge difference because I can go from my really big setup to this one and not make a compromise on the quality. In this camera there's a profile called Eterna Bleach Bypass, which is sort of a desaturated Eterna combination. And Paul Lauckley made a beautiful film. There's a guy riding a horse on a beach. He definitely shows how to use that in a nice sort of fashion-like look. I still like the Eterna, the original Eterna, and use that a lot. The examples I've showed in this video is filmed just with Eterna because it's easy and it looks great. And looking great is what I sort of go for. I filmed it all with this little 16mm f2.8 super compact lens. Nobody notices you when you walk around with such a little camera. And you're free to do almost anything you like. Now it can do full HD slow motion at 240 frames per second. That's crazy. I actually never use that because it makes stuff too slow. Maybe I could film a water drop or something, but in normal use I would actually rather use 60 frames per second, like in this example. This is a UFC fighter called Nicolas Dalby from Copenhagen, Denmark. He sort of works out on the top of his building, and this is a 60 frames per second that is slowed down to 24. And here is an example of 120 frames per second. That is like it comes out of the camera. I actually prefer the 60 frames per second when I do slow motion, but mostly prefer 24 frames per second for its cinematic look. This camera in its movie setting is not too far away from the X-T4, so if you've been using the X-T4, this is definitely an upgrade from it, because you have now the selfie screen and all that stuff. Of course, in this setting, like I have here, this is not meant for selfie stuff. But then I would set it up with a lavalier mic instead, thing like this, which is a bit more high-end. You just turn it on by pressing and holding, and it lights green. And then you have the sound, but then you need the lavalier mic. And you have an exact opposite, like this one, and you can get all kinds of different lavalier mics. And it lights green. You can put this in a pocket. If you want to use lavalier mics, figure out how to do it properly and use the advice from professionals, because they really know what they're doing. People that works in theater are putting these mics in, like in the forehead of people on the side. They're really used to it. They know exactly what they're doing. So if you want to film yourself with this setup, you just change the mic setup. You can also have just a simple microphone just sit in the middle. That wouldn't be a problem. And put out the screen and hold it right in front of you and do the selfie stuff. And the real challenge here for a lot of people is to be able to walk down a street between a lot of people, holding this, talking to a camera, looking like a complete idiot, and filming yourself like this. It is a bit, what you say, I don't like doing that. Some people can do it and have no trouble with it. I think that's remarkable. I can't do it. But you can now, because you can actually see the display. You were also able to do it before because you can actually see yourself in the reflection of your lens. It also takes a little bit of practice. You know, there's a lot of ways to do stuff. You can also use that one for the same purpose, the vlogging purpose, and do this, and you're good to go. And this sounds really good. It will really catch your voice pretty easily. So this is another way to do it. There's one more thing. If, let's say, you really want to hear what you're actually listening to, then you need a pair of headphones. There's no mini jack out in this camera, so you have to use a little thing that actually comes with the camera when you buy it. This little thing, so you can listen to what you're recording. Like this. And now I can actually hear what I'm actually recording, and I can hide behind this one and be super stealthy, which is a bit annoying, so I'll go back to the handle. So now you're good to go and can actually see what you're doing, and people can see you. That makes them a bit more comfortable. So I would say that this is the complete video setup with the new FUJIFILM X-T4. Such a small package, and you can make professional footage out of this one. The whole idea about dividing the stills from the video has really made this camera extremely usable, because when you go into the menus and have to set up the camera, it is focused on what you do. So when you film, it's all about film and video, and if you shoot stills, it's only about stills, and it makes it so easy to use and so easy to just switch. You like at a wedding? Do some footage, go back and do your stills again. I haven't talked too much about the specs, because you can just read the specs. What is much more interesting is how you apply it and how you use it and what scenario you use it in. I would say that this is a super capable camera. I really don't hope I have to give it back. You get used to good stuff. That's pretty annoying, so I probably have to dish out some money for it, but it is, for the video part, I'm taking with this camera. It is really capable. So yeah, that was it for me. And I hope all my friends and all of you who's watching will take really good care of yourself and your families. It's a tough time. We don't want people to get sick and ill by this pandemic. And stay safe. See you later.